seeds or marbles or whatever and make kolaches. You can take an oatmeal box,
Should have brought my
put
mandolin.
a rubber band over it. There's a lot of
My
things you can
mandolin
do to make an instrument. So.
And tell Kermit, I think everybody who was involved in the Oasis, that we were meant to be where we are, and God wanted us there at that special time. There's no doubt in my mind that God is behind this every day, and believe me, we give all of our thanks to Him for allowing us to have this special mission.
7th through the 11th of Lake Junaluska, North Carolina. How many of you in this room are delegates to our annual conference? You just raise your hand. Several of you. And our Board of Laity determined a few weeks ago that when you come to annual conference, about 1,700 delegates, that each one of them would receive one of these pocket prayer shawls.
And Rebecca and her sisters and a cousin, I believe, were leading it at the time. And what a wonderful family she has and continues to have. And outside her husband and her children, she has great relatives. And this is Rebecca Alexander. She works out of the Jonesboro storytelling event that they have every year, and she can tell you a little bit more about that. But she's going to come and tell us some stories. She's in costume. Don't think she goes like that everywhere. But it makes it a little bit more poignant for her to be in the costume so that we can kind of absorb what she's telling us in the story. So please welcome Rebecca Alexander.
Thank you. Do you need me to cut this one off? This? I just don't want to get any interference. Okay, good. Wow, it's a pleasure to be with you, and I feel very honored to be among men and women who have served their Lord in a mighty way, and I'm very glad to be with you today. I'm going to tell you 3 stories, I hope, and in time allows. What time is it right now? Okay. Well, Betty had said 30 to 40 minutes, so. But I want, before I start telling, because we've eaten this incredible meal by the caterers, which we should definitely thank them for. This is written by a minister's wife in Hustler, Texas. With her permission, I tell it to you. And the story that I told earlier was written by John Eads, and it's in a book called Miracles on Boswell Road. That was the Wine and Wood story. The other story that I told you was my story. Preacher, you are coming to Sunday lunch, aren't you? I made your favorite pineapple upside down cake. I cringed at her words. Not that I don't like pineapple upside down cake, because I do, but I knew my preacher husband loved it, and we were going. Not that I didn't like Louise, and I didn't want to go to her house. I did like Louise. Louise was a wonderful woman in our church. But it was the fact that I was scared to go to her house. Her sister, I had heard about, Miss Annie. They say Miss Annie fell in love with a traveling salesman. He came into town and courted her, swept her off her feet, and then left her standing at the altar, never to be seen from or heard from again. They say Miss Annie walked these dirty, dusty roads of Texas looking for him all during the night. They just gave me creeps. But I agreed, and we crawled into our small car. Miss Louise crawled into the back because I had just delivered 2 weeks ago our first baby. And so I got with him in the front seat. And my husband drove our car out into the country for what seemed like miles. But we finally came upon this house that sat off the road in a grove of mimosa trees. Nothing in my country club upbringing had prepared me for such a sight. There were chickens walking around and chickens pecking the ground. I watched as my husband and Louise got out of the car. I watched because I could see watched and listened because I heard Miss Louise say, Annie, let us in. We're here. I got the preacher and his little family. And then she turned to the car and said, get out, get out. I got out of the car and I came up to the porch and I heard all the clicks as he unlocked every lock on the door. And when the door opened up,